I'm sorry, it's still muted.
Sorry. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen, especially Professor Dr. Sudarto Prihadi. Welcome to this parallel session, the 1 room 8, under the theme of environment. And the parallel session of 6th ICENIS will begin. And we would like to request you to please pay attention and mute the audio during the session so that it will create conducive atmosphere to discover new knowledge. And once again, please be reminded to put your mobile phones into silent mode. Thank you. First, I will check whether all presenters are already joined to this room. Mrs. Dr. Sati Sarip, are you already joined in this room?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, thank you, Professor Dr. Sudarto Prihadi. And then Mr. Dian Agus Widiarso. Hello. Professor Dr. Sudarto Prihadi already joined in this room.
Yes.
Assalamualaikum, Prof.
Yeah. Yes, will be presented by Anis Komaria, our co-author.
Okay, thank you, Prof.
Yeah.
And then Mr. Jafran Wasik Hidayat. Hello, Mr. Jafran Wasik Hidayat. Oh, not yet. Join in this room. Mr. Ahmad Ilham. Hello, Mr. Ahmad Ilham. Hurun Ain. Mr. Hurun Ain or Mrs. Hurun Ain?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. You already joined in this room.
Yes, yes.
And the final presenters, Muhammad Nurdin Alamsyah.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, thank you, Mas Muhammad Nurdin Alamsyah. To all participants, we would like to request you to please pay attention and mute the audio during the session so that it will create conducive atmosphere. And before we begin this session, I have to remind you that presenter has around 10 minutes to deliver this paper, and followed by 5 minutes for the discussion. Okay, please welcome the first presenter, Mrs. Jati Sarip. Are you ready? Mrs. Jati Sarip will presenting the paper with the paper title Investigating Factors Influencing Algae Bloom Development, a preliminary case study of Putrajaya Lake Inlet. So, Mrs. Jati Sarip, time is yours.
Thank you. Let me share the screen. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm Zati from National Hydraulic Research Institute of Malaysia, and now currently known as National Water Research Institute of Malaysia, or NARIM. I'm going to present a topic, investigating factors influencing algae bloom development, a preliminary case study of Putrajaya Lake Inlet, Malaysia. This project is in collaboration with Perbanan Putrajaya. Okay, these are basically the content of my presentation. So a little bit on introduction. Harmful algae blooms are a major concern in both temperate and tropical freshwater environment due to the release of toxin that has potential fatal effects to human and wildlife. And we know that such cyanobacterial toxin poisoning has been reported in few water reservoirs in Brazil as well as Australia. So in recreational lakes, cyanobacterial bloom phenomena can affect water quality, which include reducing the water clarity, the oxygen level, and causing fish kills. The algae bloom incidence has been reported in mesotrophic and eutrophic water bodies. And factors influencing algae bloom vary with species and environmental conditions. This includes water temperature, which is influenced by air temperature, water column stratification and mixing dynamics, which is affected by meteorological conditions such as wind. We have light climate, and finally nutrient supply. Occurrence of algae bloom was occasionally reported in Putrajaya Lake, especially near the inlets and selected ponds, and this requires further investigations. These are some of the hotspots identified by Perbadanan Putrajaya, and most of the areas are actually near the inlets shown here. And most of these hotspot areas are actually near the upstream area. Okay, so the aim of this study is to investigate factors that influence algae bloom occurrence in Putrajaya Lake. So we focus only in one area, namely near the GPT near precinct 10 here, which is located at the most upstream of the lake and bordering the central wetland. So factors that we considered is meteorological conditions such as wind, air temperature, rainfall, solar radiations, and nutrients like total phosphorus, phosphate, and nitrate. Okay, a little bit introductions on the study area. For those who are not aware, Putrajaya Lake is located in the federal territory of Putrajaya, the new administrative center for Malaysia, which is actually located between KL International Airport and Kuala Lumpur. The lake, which was completed in year 2002, has a total surface area of about 400 hectares and total volume of about 24 million cubic meter. The depth of the lake range from 3 meters, mostly in the upstream areas, and 14 meters near the downstream part or near the dam. It is also a popular area for recreation, water sports, and tourism. So what we did for the methodology, we collect in situ measurement of physical chemical parameters over a 2 weeks period last year, which is during the movement control order. So we also collect water samples and we send to laboratory for analysis of chlorophyll A and nutrients, as well as phytoplankton density. We also analyze water quality data collected by our collaborators from the telemetry station as well as from manual sampling. So these are the results and discussions. As you can see, the conditions of the lake during our first week of sampling is actually which is dry. The color of the water is green and with presence of algae scum. But during the second week of the sampling, we have more rains, so we have discharge of heavy flow from the gross pollutant trap into the inlet. The highest daily rainfall was recorded about 60 millimeter, and the warmest temperature is actually during the first day of sampling, about 31 degrees Celsius. Wind speeds are low, generally less than 1 meter per second throughout the study. But as you can see that the air temperature actually reduced towards the end of the sampling. Analysis of variance showed significant difference in the daily pattern of dissolved oxygens and other parameters such as chlorophyll A. During our measurements, chlorophyll A ranged from almost non-detection up to 10 microgram per liter, which is basically based on calcium trophistic index in the mesotrophic conditions. But the total phosphorus was actually very high, ranged from 0.06 to 0.11 milligram per liter. Turbidity level during the dry period is quite low, but when we have this such during the heavy rainfall, it can reach up to 250 NTUs. And nitrate level was also low throughout the study. So based on correlation analysis, we found we focus on two harmful algae bloom indicator, namely chlorophyll A and blue-green algae density. And from the correlation analysis, we observed that both indicators were positively correlated to these of oxygen, pH, temperature, and turbidity. Strong negative correlation was observed between nitrate and chlorophyll A. So in terms of meteorological conditions, both chlorophyll A and blue-green algae density were positively correlated to air temperature, and blue-green algae were negatively correlated to rainfall. Okay, in terms of long-term data, monthly data over the 1 year period, 2020, based on the water quality index monitored by Perbadanan Putrajaya based on 6 parameters, indicated that during our sampling, the water quality are actually in the class 1. In fact, the overall water quality index during that year at the particular sampling area is actually class 1, improved from the class 2 in the year before. Okay, these are the pattern of the chlorophyll A data. We look at the average data, monthly data. We've observed that higher chlorophyll A is actually in the month of August and September, and our sampling was actually in the month of November. So it is, but the range are still within the data collected by monitored by Perbadanan Putrajaya. But there is a different in terms year to year of monthly chlorophyll A data. For example, in 2019, the highest is actually recorded in the month of March, while in year 2020, the highest is recorded in the month of June. When we tried to do correlation analysis, we did not see any clear trend between long-term chlorophyll A and the environmental variables. But because Putrajaya is actually, Perbadanan Putrajaya monitored the many sampling points throughout the lake. So what I did here, I plot these data over the map of the area. And as you can see that actually the highest chlorophyll A values are actually in the northern part, and highest actually in this portion, because the one we sample our measurements are actually here, and we observe that these most likely because of these are the shallow area compared to this portion, which is deeper. Then I look into past data, focusing on 3 months period. For example, in 2017, where there is a record that algae bloom or algae dominance. So I look, for example, data in the month of June, higher chlorophyll A actually located here, and then while in the month of August, higher chlorophyll A is here, and then it's back in here into September. So I also did some modeling exercise, and there is a strong influence of the lake morphometry that actually driving the transport of these environmental variables, including the chlorophyll A between the areas. Then I look at total phosphorus data, where higher chlorophyll A found here is consistent with high total phosphorus. While in terms of ammonium nitrogen, higher ammonium nitrogen actually in the downstream area, meaning to say excess.
Sorry, Dr. Sita.
Yeah.
Sorry, Dr. Sita. You have 3 minutes remaining.
Okay.
For presentation.
Okay, thank you. So as you can see here that when total phosphorus is high or excess, there is the limiting nutrient is actually nitrogen compound. These probably affect the species that actually become dominant here. Okay, these are the phytoplankton result data. In our sampling, we found the total blue-green algae is 72%. Finding from Professor Fatima Yusof and colleague in 2016 shows that blue-green algae dominant atau cyanobacteria dominance were recorded first reported in year 2012. But there is a fluctuation between green algae and blue-green algae due to the nutrient flux. So in this study, we found the main species is planktotric species, which are actually common in high total phosphorus conditions and very turbid environment. So these are the long-term data, the data over a 2-week period. As you can see that dominant is more than 65%, throughout the experiment, except near at the end of the experiment, because we have heavy rains, and then this is consistent where BGA was actually negatively correlated to rainfall. When we did linear regression, we found that air temperature and wind speed were actually more important predictor of blue-green algae density. Okay, some recommendations, for example, to reduce the external nutrient, especially total phosphorus. Be aware that there's a pond near before the water flow towards the gross pollutant trap and the inlet. So our suggestion would be to propose external nutrient reductions in this pond. First, probably to create wetland cells or biotopes to reduce, at the same time, reduce the energy during high flow and improve the nutrient uptake during the low flow by creating retrofitted maples. So at the same time, near the outlet, as you can see, during the rainfall, very heavy rainfall, water is turbid and very high discharge. But during dry period, this is very calm. So we would suggest that possibly to have a sediment phobia and crossbeam to reduce the energy, and then at the end here probably to propose putting wetlands or repairing wetlands to improve to uptake the nutrients. So in conclusions, rainfall events and associated wind speeds can actually induce turbulence and mixing dynamic of the water column near this inlet and affect plume formations. And nutrient, especially nitrate and air temperature, were important factors associated with good algae indicators. And in order to reduce the plantotic species bloom or dominance, is to reduce nutrient level as well as the sediment, because sediment affects the light climate. So can increase the light by reducing sediment level will actually affects the growth of the plantotic species. Well, that's all. Thank you for your attention.
We cannot hear your voice, Pak Fuad.
Oh, sorry. I'm mute. Okay. Thank you, Dr. Zati Sarip, for your presentation. And we also have 5 minutes for the question and answer session, as well as giving the suggestion. I hope you can all participate actively. Dear audience, you may ask some question or suggestion to Dr. Zati Sarip, please. Any question or suggestion?
Can I have a question?
Okay, Prof. Darto, please.
Yeah. Dr. Sati, thank you for thoughtful presentation. I need to know the measure has been taken, stormwater treatment and external nutrient reduction. How are they effective?
Thank you for your question. Actually, Putrajaya, they have Putrajaya wetlands in the upper part of, from the central wetland. And these wetland cells were very effective, and they have been able to control the pollutions from the upstream area into the lake. But the one that I suggested here, because they have inlets that goes direct from in the southern part, and there are of course some ponds. So I would suggest to have wetlands in the stormwater pond to improve and reduce the nutrient levels for the downstream portions.
Okay,
Okay.
So what are the driving factor of algae bloom?
As I in my presentation and in our data, we analyzed. There are a few factors actually. First is nutrient. The second is the light.
Coming from where?
Nutrient actually coming from because the inlet is actually connecting to the gross pollutant trap. So we have storm water, and all the storm water from the catchment is actually goes into the storm water and then flows into the inlet and the lake. And this meaning to say the storm water in the upstream of this catchment, there has housing, there has areas for business, and of course, and there are also building, government building. So because of I believe nutrient also comes from the use of possibly the use of detergents from the washing from the communities and other factors.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Prof.
Thank you, Prof. Darto, for your question, and Dr. Sati Sarip for your great explanation. I'm sorry, the time is up. So we give applause for Dr. Sati Sarip.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Sati Sarip. The next presenters is Prof. Darto, but Prof. Sudarto's presentation will be held by Ms. Anis Komaria. Please, Ms. Anis Komaria, can you share your PowerPoint on your screen?
Thank you for the opportunity, Pak Fuad.
Okay.
I will share my screen. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Anis Komaria. Today, I represent Prof. Sudarto and Bu Bulan to present our collaborative paper entitled Circular Initiative for Industrial Sustainability. So the content of my presentation are research background, research methods, research finding, and recommendation. Industrial sector has been treated as an engine of economic growth through GDP, job opportunities, and job creation. However, industrial activities cause various environmental problems such as water and air pollution, hazardous and non-hazardous waste generation. One approach to dealing with this problem is by involving industries in proper or business performance rating on environmental management. The implementation of proper is according to Ministerial Decree Number 1, 2021 on proper. So beyond compliance, proper participants are obliged to adopt LCA or life cycle assessment.
Sorry, Ms. Anis Komaria.
Yes.
We can see your PowerPoint. We can see your presentation. We cannot see your PowerPoint.
Okay. Can you see my PowerPoint, Mr. Fuad?
Not yet. Not yet.
Oh.
Mbak Milka, can you help Ms. Komaria to presenting her PowerPoint?
Oh, what about now, Mr. Fuad?
Yeah.
Okay, I can see clearly.
Oh, I'm sorry for the technical issue.
Okay, please continue your presentation.
Okay, thank you. So LCA basically is a new approach dealing with the environmental impacts from raw materials, production process, distribution, and use of product to the waste. So our research questions are, how is LCA implemented? What are the benefits gained by industries? And how is the prospect of LCA? The method used in our paper is descriptive analytic, and the data are from secondary data from Secretariat of Proper, KLHK or Ministry of Environmental and Forestry of Indonesia, presentation material of gold candidate of proper participants, discussion during webinar of proper, and 3 beyond compliance corporate as a case studies. They are PT Sido Muncul, PJB, and PT PKT. So this is the proper mechanism. So the Secretariat of Proper has set 5 rankings. They are black, red, blue, green, and gold ranking. The black ranking is for the industry who has no effort in managing the environment. The red ranking is for the industry who not obey the regulation. And the blue is for the industry who obey the regulation. The industry that proactively managing its environmental impacts and resulting energy efficiency, reduce of water consumption and emission, reduce of hazardous and non-hazardous waste, improve biodiversity are awarded as green ranking. The gold ranking is awarded for industry which are able to create self-reliance communities through corporate social responsibility or CSR. So, according to Ministerial Decree number 1/2021, life cycle assessment is a cradle-to-grave-based method or analysis of the entire cycle from the production process to waste treatment, which is used to determine the amount by the stages of the product life cycle, starting from the time of taking raw materials to the product is finished by consumer. The current proper criteria has successfully driven companies to conduct internal improvement. The company has resources and range of influence that can drive the entire supply chains and value chains to improve the environment. And if these efforts are carried out in an integrated manner, there will be improvements in sustainable production and consumption patterns. There are 2 approaches in economic. They are linear economy and circular economy. Basically, linear economy see environment as a cost center. So they will start to manage the environment once the impact of the environmental impact or the pollution came up. This approach is called linear economics, in which industries take, use, and dispose resources such as energy, water, and mineral materials. However, some industries categorized as beyond compliance, they have managed the environmental proactively from the beginning of the pipe to the end of the pipe, from raw materials, production, distribution, use, and waste. This approach is called circular economics. So circular economics are more circular and resource efficient, will see long-term reduce greenhouse emission along value chains from logistics and manufacturing to the mines where raw material are resourced. So less deforestation and resource needed for raw materials. This is the proper achievement from 2015 to 2020. From this table, we can see that the efforts taken by industry in creating efficiency in utilizing resources and waste are significant from year to year. From 2015 to 2020, there has been a reduction in energy use, conventional emission, 3R non-hazardous waste, water consumption, and waste generation, although with a decreasing trend. However, this reveals that environmental performance is increasing from year to year. A significant reduction and still showing an increasing trend of environmental performance is in the reduction of GHG and 3R of hazardous waste. But in business context, it has an orientation toward profit. The efficiency and waste reduction need to be monetized. So this following table is the proper achievement converted in Indonesian currency. The total saving achieved in 2020 reached up 107 trillion rupiah in utilizing resource of water, energy, non-hazardous waste, and hazardous waste, and reduction of water pollution and emission. These are the circular initiative of 3 beyond compliance corporates. PT Sido Muncul made return, condensate, and optimized system resulting energy efficiency of 1,719 gigajoule, replacement of fossil energy with herbal waste reducing emission 52,801.58 ton, In addition, the company also utilized sludge for fertilizer, resulting hazardous waste and non-hazardous waste reduction of 555.884 tons. PT PJB or Jawa Bali Electric Generation Unit of Muara Karang have programs that were consisted of replacement of block valve bottom drain boiler, creating water efficiency at 966 and 56.62 meter cubic, modification of combustion chamber and turbine temperature, resulting emission reduction of 7,458.26 tons CO2, and implementation of 3R by purifying lube oil, reducing non-hazardous waste generation of 172.38 tons. PT PKT or Fertilizer Factory in Bontang, East Kalimantan also has some circular initiative resulting energy efficiency of 369,796 gigajoule, water efficiency of 193.84 tons, reduction of hazardous waste generation of 39,193 tons, non-hazardous waste reduction of 2,217 tons, and reduction of air pollution reached 604,947 CO2. So by adopting circular initiative, managing environmental impacts from the beginning of the pipe until the end of the pipe, create benefit to industries themselves in the form of energy efficiency, reduction of water consumption, and emission and hazardous and non-hazardous waste generation. So implementing LCA contributes to industrial sustainability, and adopting LCA is prospective due to compulsory by ministerial decree of KLHK or Ministry of Environmental and Forestry number 1 2021 on proper. So we recommend that comprehensive practice of LCA at all stages of production line are required for having more efficient and effectiveness. That's all my presentation. Thank you so much for your attention.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Anis Komaria, for your presentation with title Circular Initiative for Industrial Sustainability. The next session is question and answer. We also have 5 minutes for this session. If any question for the audience, please. Any question? Okay, if there is no question, I have maybe one question for Ms. Anis Komaria. Ms. Anis Komaria, what is the novelty of your paper and what is the urgency of your paper? Why did you have to do it?
So basically, LCA is promoting the sustainable goal or SDGs, and also there are not many industry that contribute in proper, although the participants are increasing, but there are not many industries that achieving the gold ranking. So these papers is aimed to gain the interest from the other industry to adopting the LCA initiative and participating in proper.
Okay, thank you for your answer and your explanation, Ms. Anis Komaria. So the time is up. Give applause for Ms. Anis Komaria. Thank you. The next presenter, Mr. Dian Agus Widiarso. Are you all ready to presenting your paper? Mr. Dian Agus Widiarso. Hello.
Okay.
Okay. Mr. Janako Widityarso will presenting paper with title "The Changes of the Soil Physical Properties Due to the Influence of Seawater and Differences in Clay Mineral Composition." Okay, Mr. Dian Agus, time is yours.
Okay, thank you very much for the time. I will change the physical properties to the influence of seawater and different in clay mineral composition. This is my plan. The review, minerals, methodology, result and discussion, and summary and recommendation. In Semarang City, as we know, is the capital city of Central Province. Its growth as a metropolitan city is very important in Central Java. And the typical setting of the Semarang area is characterized by a fairly chill repeating unit. The problem that usually occurs in Semarang is based on critical and geotechnical and coastal area with a predominant of clay lithology has been performed to determine investigative data regarding the origin of the type of is a physical symptom that always recurs for a certain period, and its effect can be felt or upstream from the river mouth. And you know that the northern region of Java Island is prone to flood disaster, to having a slight slope. Topography of the floods can easily come into the when the pedal fault or rocks, we call rock in Semarang, that occur in Semarang, besides causing damage to infrastructure and residential areas. It also has an impact into the community life, also, and individual simultaneously. Because mineral in place of engine material with traces and meters. And the abundance of mineral in the soil varies greatly, influenced by various things, including the type of rock regime, and the disease process which causes pollution, but particularly and laterally. And the properties of clay particles can be distinguished into three subgroups of clay. It's kaolinite. Kaolinite formed by the combination of gibbsite and silica plates. Light and monorite formed by passing two silica plates and methodology, we get the data from the innovation limited by clay material referring to the data theoretical interpretation data. And the reliability tests were performed by sorting tests and XRD tests, tests. The result from the sorting test and the XRD tests were analyzed with statistical data. The X-ray interpretation using the protocol to determine the in sample, and the sorting test is performed by sorting sample in water for the specific time for 20 hours. The recording was made of the initial volume of the sample before sorting and the final volume of the sample after sorting. The recording is stopped before 20 hours if the sample is broken. The result in BM1, the sample of drill hole on BM1 is taken from 60 meters in deep. And this water is more dominant to increase the change of the sample column at the depth of 25 and 26 meters below the ground level. In BM3, the sample of the drill hole on BM3 is taken from 40 meters in depth. And the soil sample is clay and salty clay. The emphasis in column change of the sample is more dominant at the soil of 25 and for the signature intake. In BM4, the sample of the BM4 drill hole are taken from 30 meters in depth, and the target is clay and silty clay. After soaking, the volume change of the sample increased at 29 and until 30, 29 until 30 meters in depth. And then BM5, the sample of the BM5 drill hole are taken from 30 meters in depth with the lithology is clay and silty clay. After soaking, there was an increase in the volume of the sample at 21 and 22 meters in depth. But the soil of sample of 11 and 12, 25 and 26 meters in depth, especially are experiencing destructive after being soaked less than 30 minutes. The data from exadel analysis result in different volume resulting from soaking were performed by multiple regression statistical tests. The multiple regression test with the dependent variable is the percentage sample after being soaked in seawater for 20 hours minus the initial volume of the sample. And you can see the based on qualitative XRT test performed in Geological Survey Center in the lab. It's obtained a list of identified mineral and presented of volume change after soaking in seawater on the right side. And this is the result of the seawater soaking test. Data processing using SPSS version 24 with significant coefficient is set at 95%. The significant probability column of the ANOVA as results of the level of silicon, where the value is used as cutoff volume for the record model to determine whether the independent variable affected dependent variable. The significant value of 0.025 is smaller than 0.05. It means that all independent variable affected on the dependent variable and vice versa. And the result also that result of the seawater second coefficient test. The result showed that the p-value of non-marine is greatest that with the smallest significant and less than 0.05. This indicates the non-marine mineral has the most effect on change in sample volume when soaked in seawater. And this research is different from other research experience. I myself have experience in Nile in Mesir that there are some different research when compared to different research in other countries. It shows that in Egypt that the sharing rate will be higher when mixed with the fresh water than the mermaid mixed with the seawater. And the effect of the droplet, which consists of seawater, affect the lithology of Semarang clay containing non-monolith. And if you know, the seawater is very destructive in lithology in Semarang city. Depend on clay lithologies. And this is my summary and recommendation. The monolith mineral was most influential in the change in clay development. And this is very significant for the city of Semarang, which is often hit by tidal flood and the seawater is getting to the mainland. And therefore, development planning in Semarang is expected to make research on the composition of clay mineral to avoid the entry of seawater into lithology, which contain a lot of non-marine mineral by making a barrier in areas with high non-marine. And this is one of the new method to geological technical because as we know to get technical, we just look the physical the properties of lithology, but in this discussion, we know that the chemical of lithology is important to the development of city. And this is the author were going to the university of this research, and this research was conducted as part of the development and research university budget for the 2021. Thank you very much, Mr. Plat.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Dian, for your presentation. Dear all participants, you may ask some question to Mr. Dian about his presentation, please. Is there any question from audience? Okay, if there is no question, Mr. Dian, maybe I have one question for you. Mr. Dian, is there any specific condition required for implementing this research in another location?
I'm sorry.
Hello, Mr. Dian.
Okay. Mr. Plat.
Yeah, I have one question for your presentation. Is there any specific condition required for implementing this research in another location?
So the condition, this is the different result in Semarang in Egypt. So we have to, and I very pleased to follow this research, because I have to different result in Semarang city by my research. The seawater is improve the clay to make a swelling clay, but in Egypt it increasing the swelling clay. So this is the next research is to more specific. Maybe it depends on the when we take the sample, or maybe it depend on the when we take the water to soaking the test. So I think this research is more depend on the type of composition of monolinate, because in Egypt monolinate is more than 70%, and in Semarang city in my research monolinate is under 50%. So maybe this is the different research, my research and Egypt research. That's my answer, Mr. Pat.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Dian. Okay, give applause to Mr. Dian Agus Widiarso. Thank you, Mr. Dian. Please welcome next presenter is Mr. Dr. Jafran Wasek Hidayat. Pak Jafran, halo.
Ya,
Okay.
thank you Pak Fuad.
Mr. Jafran Hidayat is my teammate in my lab and some project and others, maybe about data management and others. Mr. Jafran Wasek Hidayat will presenting the paper with title Quality of Plankton and Physicochemical Factors to Support Fisheries and Community Care in Babon River, Semarang, Central Java, Indonesia.
Okay.
Please, Dr. Jafran Wasek Hidayat, time is yours, and please share your PowerPoint.
Okay, thank you Pak Fuad. So, Pak Dian, please
Okay.
stop your PPT from the sharing PPT, please, Pak Dian. There is a note here. You cannot start screen share while the other participant is sharing.
Halo Pak Dian. Oke.
Okay. Thank you everybody in this line and the meeting room, especially Pak Fuad as a moderator, and also Prof. Darto, who is a special guest here. My title for this occasion is Quality of Plankton and Physicochemical Factor to Support Fishery and Community Care in Babon River, Semarang, Central Java. So the background of this research is water resources have a very important value and function for life, such as irrigation, such as daily life, meat, and also electricity and tourism, etc. Many natural resources currently undergo change and disturbance, so only live relatively least clean river. So it is important to know that river has ability to recover by its resiliency ability or by purification ability. So some part of the river usually can be much cleaner or can be cleaner other than the other part or segment from the other part. One such river in the Semarang especially is Babon River, which flow across the forest landscape in rural area. This river is also established by government, city government as a Prokasi in Semarang. The environment of this watershed, especially das daerah aliran sungai, is unfortunately depleted, which potentially disturb the lives, mainly plankton assemblage. So plankton means animal who flow. They cannot floating underwater. They cannot swim over the wave or current. So this including microalgae and also larvae, fish larvae, fish crustacean, and so on. Plankton diversity in natural contribute to the survivorship and recruitment of fish population. So if the fish population getting better, then the community will be welfare, will be food demandnya available. So this will increase the care of the community. Purpose of the study to analyze the stability level of aquatic environment based on the diversity and abundance of the plankton fish association in part of the Babon River. The second is to analyze the quality of the physical chemical factors of the aquatic environment based on the quality standard, water quality standard, and the interaction to support the prospect. Methodology. Research was done in April to November last year in Semarang Regency and Semarang City. Here we ran sampling in the field. We choose at least 4 stations, which is determined based on various land use and condition around the river body. The biota, especially planktonic assemblage, will be analyzed, especially of its structure, population structure atau community structure, which can be determined to qualify of the condition of its environmental stability. Sample plankton were taken by filtering 30 liters of water using plankton nets, size number 25. And enumeration of the specimen was used microscope 400-fold in the lens strength. Laboratory analysis were carried out in Laboratory of Ecology and Biostatistics, Department of Biology in Undip, and measurement of physicochemical parameters covers pH, current, brightness, turbidity, temperature, nitrate, phosphate, Pp, and DO. Unfortunately, so should be dark black color here. Sorry for this.
Sorry, Mr. Zafron.
Yeah.
You have 5 minutes remaining.
All right. So this is the Shannon-Wiener formula to qualify the stability of the water. And result, there are at least 25 species of planktons found in Babon River, especially rich in reservoir station and the Dam reservoir station, while the smallest in Kedung Sari village, which is basically there is a difference in current flow and also transparency. The most abundant plankton observed in the outlet drainage of Pucang Gading. This is a shallow body water and also ripple water, which is very clean. So it is suitable to as a habitat for the plankton. Thalassiotrich is the most dominant, especially in Pucang Gading, and also Clostridium anisia. These all are supporting the fish food as reported by Sartika et al. The existence of the dominant species, especially in Asia, is also supported the fish food. And quality of the environment, unfortunately, is still not quite high, but it is still in moderate status in balance or stability. This is the species. We can show you there is 25 species, and also the abundance of each station you can see here. In terms of Sapopik index, between 2 up to 2.27, which indicate that it's slightly polluted, mainly from little organic and also unorganic material, especially clay and mud material degradation, the sedimentation especially. This is the chemical parameters you can see here. Nitrate is still is not quite high. Yeah, is still below the water quality standard, and also all of the rest is still under the water quality except PV, which is also close to the level. Flow rate, you can see here there is a different flow rate significantly. In station 2, we have a very fast moving water, so the plankton is not suitable because there is usually very low in nitrate content. DO mostly is still okay because it's over than 5 millimeters per liter, still adaptive for habitat fish and planktons. Temperature sampat is over than 30, so it is close to the minimal tolerance of the temperature for the fish. So the conclusion, based on the environment factor, it shows that status of the water has decreased along with the complex usage of rivers, However, in general, the level of balance is still medium in condition. The condition on contamination is still very light, while the potential of fishery is still widely open, especially under reservoir body water. So this my presentation. So the rest we can discuss, maybe comment or revision, maybe discussion other discussion. So this is Pak Fuad. Thank you.
Thank you, Pak Zafran, for
Yours.
your presentations. The next session is discussion, and we also have 5 minutes for the question and answer session. I hope you can all participate actively. Okay, please, if any question? Hello, is there any question from the audience? Okay, Pak Zafran, if there is no question, I have one question for Pak Zafran. What is your future study for developing this research, Pak Zafran?
Yeah, because basically from this data, we can see that the chemical and physical factor is okay, but unfortunately, the temperature of body water is much higher, especially during the dry season. So the dynamic between rain, which is usually fluid, and dry during the dry season, it is very devastating for the lives therein, including fish and of course planktonic assemblage. So in the near future, I would like to sort of replantation of the riverine vegetation, because this community there, they also enjoy to what we call create semacam ekowisata, yeah, like ekowisata. So the river should be much greener, not only to support ekowisata but also to support the lives therein. That's it, Pak Fuad. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Pak Zafran. Because the time is up, may give applause for Mr. Zafran, Dr. Zafran Masek.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, there is 3 presenters on this class. The next presenters, Mr. Ahmad Wilham. Mr. Ahmad Wilham, are you already in this room?
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Ahmad Ilham. Mr. Ahmad Ilham will presenting paper with title Systematic Literature Review of Face Expression Action Recognition System for Psychiatric Disease. Please, Mr. Ahmad Ilham, time is yours. Pak Zafran, can you stop your screen, Pak Zafran?
Okay. Okay, Asyul. Di off mana? Kenapa? Layarnya mau ditutup screen.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, wait a minute ya.
Attention. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Let me. Before I want to say I'm really sorry because my file is corrupt and 15 minutes before I try to develop again my presentation, but I don't have more time, so that's why I only show.
Sorry, Mr. Ahmad Ilham. Maybe our host can help presenting your presentation. Mbak Milka, do you have file Mr. Ahmad's files?
PPT from Mr. Ahmad.
Ahmad Ilham. Oh, there is no file in our computer. Please, Mr.
Okay.
Ahmad Ilham.
Okay, thank you. Today, my name is Ahmad Ilham. I'm the first research in my research. And the second, Pak Suryono, Prof. Suryono, and Pak Catur Edi Widodo. I will like to tell about our research. The title is a review of face expression recognition system recommendation for psychiatric disease. We know that the research on human mental disorders has started exploring the relationship between human facial expression recognition and symptoms of mental disorders, because cases in facial expression recognition are similar to symptoms in psychiatric disease. We determine the success of machine learning and deep learning, varied types of model and architecture of these techniques are being leveraged to achieve better performance. So in this study, in our study, we propose a review. This work is to undertake a review of the most recent work on automatic facial emotion recognition using deep learning. We emphasize this contribution from the deep learning architecture and facial database, and the researchers progress by comparing the recommended technique with the finding produced. The study found that the facial expression recognition based on cognitive Internet of Things in psychiatric disease did not yet exist. So it became a big opportunity to develop this research in the future. It can be concluded that this research can assist scholars by examining previous works and provide insight to make improvements to this field, and can be used as a recommendation for psychiatric disease research. We know that today, the patients suffering from psychiatric ailment display the varying decrease of mental problems. This is due to a malfunction of the human emotional regulation system, which leads to the behavioral and pathological issues such as aggression, addiction, and risky conduct, as well as anxiety and sadness. Using manual technique to evaluate the severity of psychiatric patients has a high level of danger and high expensive. Thus, it necessitates a particular analysis and equipment that can identify human mental change as part of the patient healing process quickly and automatically. So in this study, we want to describe about the previously work or study or research about the how to recognize the face, and then we define the emotion. We define the emotion. So that's why the study is how to apa namanya? Can I use bahasa Indonesia, sir?
Okay, please.
Oke, karena saya sedikit ada masalah karena korup, jadi saya coba untuk menjelaskan lebih detail dengan bahasa Indonesia, karena bahasa Inggris saya sedikit apa namanya belum sempurna, sehingga saya akan menggunakan bahasa Indonesia. Oke, jadi pasien yang menderita kejiwaan menunjukkan berbagai tingkat masalah mental. Hal ini disebabkan karena adanya sistem pengaturan emosi yang tidak berfungsi, sehingga yang mengarah pada masalah perilaku dan patologis seperti agresi, kecanduan dan perilaku yang berisiko, serta kecemasan dan kesedihan. Sebelumnya, penggunaan teknik dokter dalam menangani pasien penyakit mental, yaitu dengan cara manual untuk mengevaluasi tingkat keparahan pasien, gangguan jiwa yang memiliki tingkat bahaya yang tinggi dan biaya yang tinggi juga. Sehingga diperlukan suatu analisis dan peralatan tertentu yang dapat mengidentifikasi perubahan mental manusia sebagai bagian dari proses penyembuhan secara cepat. Oke. Nah, pengenalan ekspresi di bidang mendeteksi emosi pada wajah manusia di bidang medical research itu telah ada dan itu dibagi menjadi dua, yaitu facial expression analysis yang diusulkan oleh Clark, Ekman dan Friesen di tahun 78 dan automatic facial expression analysis. Nah, di dalam riset ini kami mencoba untuk mengkaji review beberapa penelitian terkait bidang ini dan fokus kepada automatic face recognition. Jadi secara otomatis kami mencoba untuk mendeteksi wajah pasien psikiatri. Nah, untuk mendeteksi wajah psikiatri itu ada dua teknik yang sering digunakan. Dari studi kami menunjukkan bahwa ada yang menggunakan teknik machine learning dan ada yang menggunakan deep learning. Namun teknik yang populer digunakan dalam mendeteksi wajah pada pasien yang memiliki gangguan mental adalah deep learning. Sehingga di dalam studi ini kami mencoba untuk mengkaji lebih dalam sejauh mana penelitian saat ini terkait deteksi emosi wajah pada pasien psikiatri secara otomatis. Oke. Nah, di dalam studi kami menggunakan teknik review, bukan systematic literature review, karena kalau systematic literature review biasanya menggunakan peacock, sedangkan di dalam studi ini hanya menggunakan review tradisional, sehingga kami tidak menggunakan peacock, model peacock atau metode peacock dalam riset ini. Oke, baik, kami lanjut. Nah, kami menemukan bahwa ternyata database yang populer digunakan untuk menguji sebuah sistem facial expression recognition, ya, yang otomatis itu banyak Bapak Ibu. Ini ada Multiply, ECNIC, kemudian FAIR 2013, RAFDB, kemudian RAFD, MMI, sampai ke LFW. Nah, database ini sering digunakan untuk menguji sebuah sistem rekognisi wajah khusus untuk mendeteksi emosi. Jadi kami menemukan ada 15 database wajah yang sering digunakan. Kemudian studi lebih lanjut, ternyata yang paling populer digunakan untuk mendeteksi wajah seseorang secara otomatis adalah menggunakan model deep learning. Kenapa model deep learning? Karena mampu secara otomatis mengekstraksi yang tidak bisa dilakukan oleh teknik machine learning. Oke, baik. Nah,
Mas Ahmad, your time.
Thank you.
2 minutes remaining.
Oke, baik.
Langsung kesimpulan mungkin.
Oke. Jadi kesimpulan dari
Oke, please.
Kesimpulan dari riset ini adalah I'm sorry. Menunjukkan bahwa tinjauan penelitian terbaru tentang face expression recognition dengan tujuan agar peneliti-peneliti yang lain dapat mengetahui perkembangan terbaru di bidang ini sebagai wawasan dalam mempertimbangkan metode analisis untuk metode penyembuhan pasien psikiatri. Oke. Kemudian di riset ini kami telah memberikan deskripsi singkat juga terkait metode analisis dan model algoritma dengan menggunakan arsitektur CNN dan FCNN yang baru-baru diusulkan di 2020. Beberapa database ekspresi wajah berisi gambar dan video spontan yang dikumpulkan dari dunia nyata juga kami sediakan. Sehingga kesimpulan terakhirnya adalah bahwa kami menemukan hampir semua model yang diusulkan oleh peneliti belum diintegrasikan melalui kognitif computing sehingga riset ini dapat menjadi rujukan bagi peneliti yang lain untuk dapat melakukan riset di bidang atau mengintegrasikan dengan face expression recognition system dengan Internet of Things. Mungkin itu. Terima kasih. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, Mr. Ahmad Ilham, for your presentation. The next session is discussion. If there are any question from the audience, hello. Okay, if there is no question, I have one question for Mr. Ahmad Ilham. What is the novelty of this research comparing with other research before you?
Okay. The first novelty this our research is we found, because this a review research, not technical research, so that's why my novelty in this research is we give the other research to know that bahwa face expression recognition system belum ada yang mengintegrasikan dengan Internet of Things, sehingga penelitian ke depannya dapat menggunakan integrasi tersebut. Demikian.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Ahmad Ilham. I give applause for Mr. Ahmad Ilham. The next presenters in this class, Mr. Hurun Ain. Mr. Hurun Ain, are you ready in this session? Hello.
Okay, thank you.
Oh,
Thank
sorry,
you, Mr. Fuad.
Miss Hurun Ain. I think you're man.
No, I'm a woman.
Okay, please welcome presenter for paper with title Status of Water Quality and Pollution Level in the Watershed Garang Semarang. Time is yours, Mrs. Hurun Ain. Miss Hurun Ain.
Sorry, share screen before it's not closed.
Okay, Mas Ahmad Ilham, can you stop your screen?
Okay, okay. Okay, please.
Okay, you can see this, my PPT.
Okay, very clearly.
Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for the time for me to present our result in the title Water Quality Status and Pollution Level in the Garang Watershed. Table of content, the introduction, methodology, result, and conclusion. Firstly, I want to inform why we choose the topic, because the Garang Watershed is one of the watershed that cross 3 regencies, namely Semarang Regencies, Kendal Regency, and most of the area is located in Semarang city. And two, the flow of the Garang River has an important role for the city of Semarang, which originates from Mount Ungaran in the south and downstream at the mouth of the Semarang Barat Flood Canal, which then flow into the Java Sea. And then Garang Watershed has a unique road because flowing water in 2 types of water. There are in artificial lake Jatibarang Reservoir, and tributaries refer to the sea. Okay, this moment the Garang watershed increase and variety of human activities, which is caused by high rate of population growth, and this is can decrease and vulnerable to pollution in Garang watershed. Purpose of my research was determine the status of water quality and pollution that flow through the Garang River basin from upstream reservoirs to downstream. And I hope the result of this study can play a role in effort to assess and monitor water quality in the Garang watershed, as well as being the basic data for recommendation for sustainable management. Research data collection was carried on in September until October 2020. Parameter was collect temperature, dissolved oxygen, potential hydrogen, depth, brightness, total suspended solid, nitrate, phosphate, biochemical oxygen demand, chemical oxygen demand, bacteria, Escherichia coli, and heavy metal like plum and cadmium. The data analysis method used the Canadian Council of Ministries of the Environment. The CCME index is based on a combination of the three factors, namely F1. This is show the number of variables that do not meet the quality standard, and F2 is a frequency. This is mean the percentage of the tests that do not meet the quality standard, and last amplitude or F3. This is mean the number with the test value fails to meet the quality standard. And this is a water quality category with CCME WKI method. There are 5 classes with a different range that the status can show the how water quality and the condition water quality in the waters. And sampling location in the Garang watershed based on purpose sampling, the sampling carried and reservoir, there are 7-point sampling, and downstream, same as with upstream, there are 6-point sampling. This is our result that upstream in category bed and downstream, same as with reservoirs. In category very bad, that we can see the number of CCME WKI index upstream more high than downstream and reservoir, and we can conclusion that reservoirs is more better than upstream and downstream. And there are 2 categories that parameter exceed based on government regulatory number 82 of 2001 class 2, and category is include under PP government degree number 82. For value BOD and COD ratio is 0.3, the pollution is biodegradable. And conclusion our research, based on the result of the study, the analysis of pollution, the upstream Garang watershed was in the poor category, and the reservoir was in the bad category, and downstream in the bad category. It means that the water quality almost always treated and distributed. Okay, thank you for
Thank you.
your attention. Thank you.
Thank you for thank you, Mrs. Hurun Ain, for your presentation. And we have about 5 minutes for our discussion. So please, for all audience, you may ask some question for Mrs. Hurun Ain, please.
Like ask
Pak Jafron, can you mute your microphone, Pak Jafron?
can I ask please?
Okay, please.
Mademoiselle, you taught that you collect data only from 2 months. Which seasonal variation do you expect in the water quality, respectively in the pollution in this watershed?
Yes.
Okay, thank you for Mr. Ansors. Please, Mrs. Hurun Ain.
Okay, I hope this study can recommendation for the management because the rich watershed is flow until Java Sea, and we can give a recommendation how to manage this watershed.
Okay, Mr. Ansors.
And do you expect any changes in the pollution during the years, or you expect that these values, which was in these 2 months, are stable during the whole year?
Okay, because this result show that the water is a bad category, I think this is my accepted, and sure the people is not accept this result, and we can do what we can do the watershed in better condition, and this is our duty, our homework, what we can we do for the sustainable of watershed.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Hurun Ain. We give big applause to Mr. Hurun Ain for her presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Fuad. Thank you,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Ansors.
Finally, the last presenters on this class, Muhammad Nurdin Alamsyah. Mr. Muhammad Nurdin Alamsyah, are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
Okay, please share your screen, and Mr. Nurdin Alamsyah will presenting paper with title A Review of Food Waste Management in Indonesia and Best Practice in Various Countries. Please, time is yours. Mr. Hurun Ain, can you stop?
Yes, wait a minute. My laptop is trouble. Okay.
Do you guys see my presentation file?
Okay, I can see clearly.
All right. So, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good evening, everyone. I am Nurdin, and I'm an undergraduate student of Public Administration, Faculty of Administrative Science, Universitas Indonesia, batch 2018. So today, I'm about to explain my paper entitled A Review of Food Waste Management in Indonesia and Best Practices in Various Countries. Firstly, in introduction, as we know that Indonesia is a big country and has a fertile and prosperous land, in order to maintain national food security, it becomes high urgency for the development and improvement of people's quality of life, because food is one of the important needs for people in order to carry out their lives. Unfortunately, hunger and malnutrition still haunt the problems in Indonesia. As you guys can see that based on the data from the Badan Pusat Statistik or BPS in 2019 shows that one of 100 Indonesians are malnourished, and in 2020 index hunger in 2020 Indonesia's hunger index is ranked number 70 out of 107 countries. Not only that, the presence of the COVID-19 pandemic, the number of cases of stunting of children due malnutrition is predicted to increase by 15%, 15% or about 7 million children. The conditions becomes ironic because it is very contrary to the habits of Indonesians who like to waste the food, as evidenced by Indonesia's position as the second highest food waste producing country in the world after Saudi Arabia. This is supported by the data. On average, one Indonesian produces food waste of about 30 kilograms per year, which if the food waste is not wasted and collected, then the food waste can be consumed by 11% the population of Indonesia, or about 28 million people per year. Many researchers prove that poorly managed food waste will affect vital aspects of human beings, both in terms of environment, economy, and social. First, in terms of environment, food waste can lead to increased greenhouse gas emissions that contribute to global warming and damage the environment. Second, in terms of economy, food waste can reduce the income of producers and increase public spending and create economic losses for a country. Last, in terms of social, food waste can cause health problems which can harm or disrupt human life. In Indonesia, food waste management is still not considered integrated, especially related to the 3R programs, or reuse, recycle, and reduce, reuse, and recycle. It happens because the absence of specific policies or regulations related to food waste management in Indonesia, where food waste management in Indonesia is still not specifically regulated in Law Number 18 of 2008 on waste management, and also the lack of public awareness related to food waste management makes the problem of food waste in Indonesia is endless. Based on these problems, the author is interested in conducting a literature review of scientific journals related to food waste management in Indonesia and how it is practiced in various countries. Next is methods. This research uses a qualitative approach. A qualitative approach is used by conducting a review of various literatures on food waste management in Indonesia and best practices in various countries. This research included in a descriptive in descriptive research that presents specific descriptions of situations, conditions, and social relationships. And also this research uses quantitative data collection techniques through a library research with systematic procedures to obtain the necessary data. Next is results and discussion. First, I want to explain about the conditions of food waste management in Indonesia. In its own implementation in Indonesia, most houses only separate organic and non-organic materials without sorting the recyclables into a predetermined categories of waste, so that the condition of food waste management in Indonesia can still be said to be lagging compared to other countries. As I mentioned earlier, that Indonesia does not yet have specific regulations or policies on the food waste management, but there are various ways that can be done in managing food waste in Indonesia, such as these 4 stages, namely sorting, collection, processing, and disposal. Next, I'm going to explain the best practices for food waste management in various countries. First is in the United States of America. In the United States, there are 6 steps in food waste management. First is source reduction. It means that in the United States, reducing the food waste at the source is really important. Second is feed the hungry. This can be 2 ways. First is by donation, and second is by employee take home the unsold food. And then the third one is with animals. It means that the products or food that have not been sold can also be given to animals rather than be wasted. Fourth is industrial uses. In this case, it is related to the processing of food waste to become energyful, such as the decomposition of food waste to produce energy. Fifth is compost. It means that the food waste can be turned into a compost. And last is landfill on incineration. It means that when the food or product is no longer usable or recycled, so it is necessary to do precipitation on or burning the food. Next is South Korea. As we know that the South Korea government has already passed regulations or policies related to food waste management that focus on efforts to reduce the occurrence of recycling of food waste. In South Korea, there are three main stages applied by the South Korean government in managing food waste. Namely, first is handling the food waste at the source. Second is food waste collection, and then the third one is a food waste management system. And then the third country is Singapore. As we know that Singapore is a country with a high level of urbanization and a high level of food waste. Here are four strategies that Singapore government does for managing food waste in Singapore. First is prevent and minimize food waste at the source. Second is redistribute unsold or oversold food. Third is recycle or treat the food waste, which the food waste that is still good must be recycled as soon as possible. And then the fourth is energy recovery. And then the last country that I would explain today is German. In Germany, 11 million tons of food waste per year occurs throughout the supply chain from a farmer to consumer level, where the issue of food waste used to be censored by the German government in developing advertising campaign and started thus to raise cognition and instruct customers to reduce food waste. There are 5 levels in the food waste hierarchy in German. The first level is prevention, is the most desirable option, and then there are reuse. It means that excess food can be used for human consumption, for example, to be redistributed to people in need, and for foods that are not sustainable for human consumption, recycling can be the option. And then recycling also includes using food as animal feed or compost. Next is at the recovery rate of food waste is used for energy generation, and last step is disposal. It means that when the foods cannot be used for other purposes, must be disposed of. And then last is conclusion. Based on the explanation that I've explained before, it can be concluded that food waste management in Indonesia is still far behind when compared to the other countries that I described before. Therefore, this writing is expected to be a recommendation of the government, of the Indonesian government, to modify the food waste management that carried out by United States of America, South Korea, Singapore, and Germany. Other than that, because this research uses data collection method through library studies, it causes limitation in the data used by researchers. Lastly, I quote from Tristan Stewart, who said that cutting food waste is a delicious way of saving money, helping to feed the world and protect the planet. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mas Muhammad Nurdin. Next, the session is a question and answer and discussing. Okay, if there any question for the audience, please.
May I ask a question, Pak Fuad?
Okay, please, Prof. Darto.
Yes, Mr. Muhammad, it was very good, insightful presentation. My question is, from the experiences you took from other countries, Singapore and other countries, which one have potential to be implemented in Indonesia?
Okay, so thank you so much for the questions. Based on 4 countries that I've explained before, I think Singapore would be the best practice that can be implemented in Indonesia, because in Singapore, they before the food waste is being a waste, they kind of take the food, they finish the problems from the at the source gitu. Before the food finally being before the food is finally being wasted, the government Singapore has like a different color of garbage. Like for example, like red for the dangerous materials, and for example like the green for the green for the food waste. And then it can be implemented in Indonesia because it's very common in Indonesia. If we can see that there are a lot of type of garbage in Indonesia. And then I think the Indonesian government should make a specific regulation, because like I said before, that Indonesia government has not yet have the specific regulation about the food waste management, the food waste management. And it's really important to have the regulations, because if we don't have the regulations, we kind of like bias, and we don't know how to manage the food waste. Because in Indonesia, it's kind of useless when we like arrange the waste based on the color, for example, like, or I have like 3 bags, and for 1 bag is for the plastic bags, and then the second bag is for paper bags, and then the third bag is for food waste. And then when the cleaner comes to my house, and then they pick my plastic bags, they just like they just throw the plastic bags together, and then it all mixed together, and it's just kind of useless. So I think this the first thing that Indonesian government should do is making the regulations, I mean the specific regulations about the food waste management. So it purpose to so with the regulation, the stakeholders, like the society and then the cleaners, know that how to handle how to manage the food waste correctly. I think that's it.
Yeah, but we need to have discipline. We need to have to enforce the regulation. That is the problem different in Singapore and Indonesia. But it's good. Thank you for your response.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Pak Fuad. We can't hear your voice, Pak Fuad. Still mute.
I'm sorry, Prof. Darto. Thank you, Prof. Darto, for the great question, and Mas Muhammad Nurdin for your great presentation. I think the time is up. Dear ladies and gentlemen, all presenters have presented their papers. It's time for closing this class. Before class closes, we will take a picture together. Please, for all participants, would you like to turn on your camera? Mbak Milka, can you help me to take a picture? Okay, Mbak Milka, finish. Okay. Mas Ahmad Ilham. Where is Mas Ahmad Ilham?
Nih kameranya sepertinya.
Oh ya, Mas Ilham silahkan absen dulu, Mas. Okay, thank you for your kind attention during this session. I hope we can get benefit and increasing our knowledge from every research that presenters had shared today. Please give applause for all of us, and thank you. Thank you very much, Prof. Darto. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Pak Fuad, for chairing the session.
Okay. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you.
Thank you. Stay safe and healthy.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Pak.